My name's Todd Gray. I'm an environmental protection ecologist with the Tulalip tribes here in Washington. It's an honor and a privilege for me to serve the tribes in this way. I do a number of things here to help protect tribal natural resources and the environment that supports those resources. One of the things that I do that's near and dear to my heart is I run early detection efforts for the European green crab. It's near and dear to my heart because I grew up on the coast of Maine where the crabs have been all my life, so I'm very familiar with them. Um, just first uh, little background on the crabs. I'm not going to get into the weeds on the biology or the history of them in this area too much, but the European green crab is a nasty invader. It's considered one of the worst aquatic invasive species. They can do a lot of damage to the ecosystem. They eat tons of shellfish, baby other crabs, clams, oysters, mussels. They tear up eelgrass beds, which, as I'm sure all of you know, um, forage fish and everything up the food chain relies on things like that in the environment. So we're watching for them here. Little context first about who we are. The Tulalip tribes are situated here on the shores of beautiful Puget Sound in Washington. We're in the north central Puget Sound region, and we are a group of tribes and bands of Coast Salish peoples that are all signatory to the 1855 Treaty of Point Elliott. That's the next slide here. Kind of outline the general area that is our usual and accustomed ancestral fishing grounds here. So we're interested in protecting the natural resources in all of this area. For my purposes with green crab early detection, I'm mostly interested in looking at this area. We're zoomed in here a little bit. This is the reservation outlined in red here. And this is what I call our front yard, which is Possession Sound. For a little orientation, this is Whidbey Island on the left, city of Everett here. This larger area is all the Whidbey Basin. And my goal is to know it when European green crab arrive in our front yard here. There's a great presentation earlier this morning given by Ben Schofield with the Coeur d'Alene tribe. He had a chart or a graph up that showed clearly how the stronger an invasion is, the more established it becomes. It becomes exponentially more difficult to control that invasion or have a chance of eradicating that. So I want to know it when they get here so we can start controlling them early on. What I've done here is outlined areas that I believe are prime European green crab habitat. So if they were to come in here unchecked, this is where they would establish themselves. Of particular note is this huge area to the east here. This is the Snohomish River estuary, and it represents literally miles of prime European green crab habitat. It's a network of channels which they could hide in, be very difficult to find them there. They can be safe from other predators like Dungeness crab and rock crab that can't handle the lower salinities up in those areas. And they could just be spitting out millions and millions of eggs that would wash out into the Possession Sound. So I'm really hoping we can get on them before they get in to that area. This is what we call a threat map. We put this thing together just for a visual around the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, based on numbers and densities of green crabs found around us. You can see that we're surrounded. The largest density, in other words, the biggest threat indicated on this map is to the north of us. However, what this map does not account for is geographic and oceanographic barriers. If you look up in the north part there, for crabs to make it from the north down to us, they would have to cross through a little bit of land here, come through a channel. There are folks up north here watching for them, including the Stillaguamish tribe. You heard Jason's talk earlier. They're just to the north of us, are our neighbors. So I'm primarily looking for them down in this area. I also have to tell you that this map needs to be updated because just this past summer, a green crab was detected right here in Cultus Bay on the south tip of Whidbey Island. So they're right on our front doorstep at this point. Here's another image. This is from the Washington Sea Grants Crab Team website. They are largely responsible for early detection trapping protocol. And per their information, this is where green crabs have been detected in our area to date. This map shows where folks are currently engaging in early detection trapping efforts. You can see that our area here is pretty blank. I think I'm the only one working in the Possession Sound area, so I'm hoping that I can cover that. So this map shows where we think that green crabs will show up first before they actually show up in Possession Sound, based on the way the currents work and ocean stratification in this area. We don't think the European green crabs are going to come right around the corner of Whidbey Island and just waltz right in. We think that the larva is going to drift against this shore here, and then they'll move their way north. There's not a lot of good green crab habitat in here, but I would love it if somebody felt like doing some early detection work in this area, because I don't have the capacity to get down there. This is where I am trapping. So a little zoom in of the southern end of the reservation here. I've got some presence in Tulalip Bay, and I'm largely trying to cover the mouth of the Snohomish estuary. Last summer, I also had some presence in Cultus Bay because we've been expecting them to show up there first before they get in here. This is where I'd like to do some trapping if I were able to get a little more time and capacity to do it. This is just south of the Snohomish estuary along the Everett shoreline. These green crabs love to find harbors and get underneath floats and so forth. So something in there would be really nice to look at. Okay, I think that concludes the overview of our situation here. Now I want to talk about what we're actually doing to try to achieve our goals. So I mentioned Washington Sea Grants protocol for early detection work. We're largely using that protocol, which involves using Fukui traps and minnow traps. At each site, there's 6 traps, minnow and Fukuis alternating about 10 meters apart. And the way it's done is, as the tide's coming in, once it gets to an intertidal elevation of about +4 feet, set the traps in the water and go overnight, and then haul them out the next day before they dewater. So in doing this, we realized there's a fair amount of limitations to this method, although I still think it's probably the best method for a statewide early detection protocol. But we're limited in location of these sets that we put out there. They have to be about +4 tidal elevation. You have to use bait, which means keeping the bait somewhere, buying the bait, chopping the bait up, bringing it out there, and the very next day hauling it all off the beach so you don't disrupt local food webs. The setup can be a little bit cumbersome too, because you have to bring all of your gear and all of your traps out, set everything up, and then the very next day pull it all down, bring it back and clean it all. We're also limited as to the season that we could work in because of the tides. in inclement weather. So we generally just do this between April and September. So again, because of my goal of knowing it when a green crab comes into our area, I feel like I'm not necessarily going to know it if I just use this protocol, because I've got 5 specific spots where I set these traps once a month for half the year, uh, just for one night only. I could literally be missing a giant infestation kind of the next slew over. So I got thinking about how to maybe tackle some of these limitations. I thought back to my days growing up in Maine. This is a picture of my family's land in Maine. That's my dog Feeny right there. Uh, and if I was back there and wanted to find green crabs, what I generally do is find a rock that has a little bit of space under it and flip that rock over, and there's usually a few green crabs hunkered down under there. So I thought, well, if I were to make a simulated flat rock, then I could put it anywhere in the intertidal zone, up high, down low, wouldn't have to use bait. I could just uh, take it out there once, pin it to the beach, to the substrate, to the mud flat, and leave it all season. And I also could probably leave it out all year, which could be handy to try to target some deeper crabs that are hunkered down for the winter, or females that are gravid females that are looking for a shelter to find some to raise their eggs or something. So I'm basically trying to target the crabs' desire to find shelter and safety instead of their desire to find food. So I designed this thing, flippantly called it a crab slab, which of course the name has stuck. I've modified the design a few times since I started making these things, tried them out. Of course, we don't think we have green crabs in this area yet, so haven't caught any green crabs in them around here, but I catch a lot of shore crabs. So in 2024, I made a bunch of these things and set them out uh, in various places around the mouth of the Snohomish Estuary, and also set some in Cultus Bay in hopes that they would maybe help me in my early detection efforts. And I at least feel like they're helping me. I feel like I'm covering more ground more of the time. So tackling some of those temporal and spatial limitations with this concept. I did bring one back to Maine when I went back to see family and everything last summer, and put it out there and checked it for a few days. And every time I went out and checked it, I had my brother actually assist me with that. He still lives there. We had several green crabs in there every time. 5 the first day, then 6, then 5, and then we had 11 crabs in there the 4th day. So a little bit of a proof of concept there. I hope that they will be useful out on this coast. I would like to give a shout out to our friends at the Makah tribe and the Lummi Nation, and also the Metlakatla Indian tribe up in southeast Alaska. All of those folks are also trying out these crab slabs, and I hope they find them useful. Other things that we're doing besides trapping and using these experimental slabs is we are, when we can, we're uh, engaging in this Washington Sea Grants molt hunt protocol, which is a way to get some folks from the community, or we plan to bring out tribal youth groups and basically walk the beach and look for crab shells, and then see if there's any green crab shells in there using a particular protocol. We also have some outreach materials that we have put around. We plan to do some presentations to local groups, including local tribal fishermen, so that everybody is aware of what to look for out there. And I'm glad to have seen Jason's presentation from the Stillaguamish tribe earlier today, because one of the things that we have to do is write up a rapid response plan. So that was good information for me. to hear that. I believe that's all I have to show everybody. So if we have any time, I'm happy to try to answer some questions. But thanks for listening.